Welcome to Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to keep calling it that, but I've got some unboxings coming up this weekend, and actually going to try to see what I can do here today on Saturday, and doing a little bit of something a little bit different. This is clearly a fantasy game, not really a war game, more of a kind of a skirmish game. It's a solitaire dice rolling type game, but it's got some interesting concepts in it, so I thought I'd open this up. Plus I have some more sci-fi, more war games, or more along the lines of a war game coming up as well, thanks to DBG actually. So this is Set a Watch, a game by Todd Walsh. Let's take a look at the back of the box here, and as you can see here, it is this is more fantasy based. You got some fantasy characters here. It basically says the kingdom is in grave danger. Powerful enemies are conspiring to resurrect the vile and powerful unhallowed that your party has just slain. Now you, the mighty adventurers of the land, must visit these summoning locations and defeat the hordes of the creatures behind this evil plot. It falls to 4 mighty adventurers, each of whom has a unique set of skills to band together once more to vanquish this evil before the unhallowed consume the world of darkness. So this is primarily a solitaire game. You're going to play 4 characters. I think you can play up to, I don't know if it says on here, maybe you can play up to, yeah, there you go. So ages 10 plus. You can play up to 4, so each one could take a character, and it's about 60 minutes. Play time there. So let's get inside the box and see what we have here. This is, I did a piece not too long ago for, it's in my sci-fi playlist if you want to check that out, which was a solo bag builder that was called Warp's Edge. This one is a dice game setup, but in its fantasies. But as I said, there's some interesting concepts here, and you are fighting, so it is, it's quasi war game, right? Yeah, probably not. Anyway, so it's got a nice magnetic flip here, or flap here, that actually turns into the game board itself. Here is where this is your camp, and the interesting aspect of this game is you're setting a watch here, right? Because you are one of your 4 adventurers is going to stay back at the camp and man the fire, so to speak. And the further that the fire goes up, that's how many. Like at this level here, you can look at 2 characters. This one you can look at 3 characters. So 3 creatures that you're going to be fighting. So it gives you a little bit more intelligence. It's the theme is that the fire is expanding, so you can see out further into the night. So you can actually make a little bit better plans on who you're attacking and how far you can see into the creature deck that you're going to be attacking. So that's kind of cool. And you can chop firewood so you can increase the fire, and you're going to be rolling dice, and you're going to be placing your dice here. Like for example, this chop firewood, you put your dice there, and that increases your fire rate. Here is scout ahead, and this is to be able to look into, I guess, the face down cards, or the deck, so to speak, and see what's in there and coming up. But you've got to place dice in increasing amounts. That's kind of, this game is drawing several elements from other games and other dice games out there, which I kind of always find kind of interesting, and I like how they put that together. This one is pulling from oh god, I can't remember the name of that dice game that's pulling from. I'll think of it here at some point. But that's an aspect here. Here is that if you got 4+, you can check the map. I think that's looking at the map deck, because you're gonna be fighting at locations, and that's going to tell you to look in there. Here's equip, and I'll explain that when you get into the characters. And this heals up because you can exhaust as you get over time. So that's stuff that happens at camp. You get a rule book here, full color. There's a round overview and order of play on the back. I always kind of like that when you have that. Rules are, again, color. Here's the contents. Here's your setup. It talks about the creatures and the gameplay, and it's not overly complicated gameplay. It's relatively easy to get into. It's a matter of it's going to be tough. The difficulty is going to be based upon the creatures you're facing and decisions you make. You are definitely making a lot of decisions here as you send out your warriors into the night. And it talks about some of the adventures there. So really the rules themselves are 16 pages, but this is a small book, and it does have some examples in it as well. So that's your rule book. You're going to get these tokens here, which are nice. That's your campfire. And this is the watch here, because each of your characters have to attend to the camp twice. Or the most they can attend to the camp is twice. So you're not going to have all 4 adventurers always available every round, and they have to attend to the camp. But the most they can attend to the camp is twice. So you can't like send one guy or gal back and say, hey, you're doing the camp each time. You can only do that twice. So this kind of helps marks that. You have the dice, and as you notice here, the dice are different. There's 6-sided, and then there are 8-sided dice. The different warriors roll different dice, and so you're going to get different values based on that, based on their abilities. You get the cards here, and you get, these are their skills and stuff. We'll go into that. You get some baggies in the dice here. I always love my baggies. And then let's see, we don't have to pull this out to get to the cards themselves. So it actually, inside the box is part of the game. This is unused locations, so you'll put those there, and this is the horde. As I said, as I read in the theme, you're going to be fighting the horde at the end of the game. So you got to fight through these locations. There'll be a certain number of locations that you fight through, and then you'll get to the horde themselves. Flipping this open here. This is just covering paper to cover the things. But you're going to fight the horde, so I think you'll populate the horde, and then certain things that you don't fight on each of the locations, creatures that survive the location or leave the location, can end up in the horde. And so the bigger that deck is, that's what you're going to have to fight at the end. So you definitely want to do a good job of cleaning up the locations before you have to do the boss fight, so to speak, which is fighting the horde. So each of these have quick reference, so you can use this. For each character you're not using, you got the quick reference on the back that you can flip that over and use. Here's your different characters. You have the ranger, and they'll have a special ability. This is a camp ability, so this is what they get to do with you. Have them hold back at camp. This is where you place their abilities. I can't remember if they're abilities or skills, but that's what gets exhausted when you use them. They can get exhausted, or they can get, when you take wounds, they get exhausted, and that's why you need to heal up here at the camp. But they're going to have special powers here, and then this is their camp ability, and then this tells you what their dice, what kind of die they roll. So they're going to be, Ranger's going to be doing an 8-sided dice. Beastmaster is 8-sided. And then, they have ability of tamed creatures, which is they can kind of tame wild beasts, I think, out of the creature deck. The warrior, those are all 6-sided. Then you get to the rogue, 8-sided. Then you get the rogue is 6-sided. These three, the Beastmaster, Warrior, and Ranger, are all 8-sided. And then the rogue is 6-sided. The wizard, 6-sided. And the cleric is 6-sided. So the cleric, of course, is going to be able to heal. And the wizard does the teleport, which, kind of lets you choose your next location that you're going to be coming up on. So that's kind of interesting. So those are your characters, which is kind of cool. You're going to go 4 at a time, but you get choice of 6. There's an expansion that's just coming out now that gives you, I think, 6 more new characters and new quests and stuff. It's a fully, I think, standalone game, but I think its ability, you can mix and match between these sets. So here is going to be the different, that's the exhausted side, and then you've got the actual, these are their skills or abilities, or what, I can't remember, I have to look at the rules, see what they're called. So this is probably going to be for the ranger. I think the ranger's an elf. So they have these different abilities that you're going to be able to put down on their board. And they have more than 3, so you're going to start off, I think you randomly select what 3 you have, and then you have these other ones that sit off the side, and I think there's an ability, I think equip allows you to pull from that and replace and put that into into the into your on your character sheet, so you can use them. So they all have different abilities, and again, this is basically a dice game. You're rolling dice to try to get a value that's going to beat the creatures. But some of the creatures have special abilities that manipulate the deck or manipulate the dice. You're going to have special abilities that manipulate the deck or the pattern of creatures that are coming out, or the chain of creatures and maybe their order, and also manipulate your dice as well. So there's all the different different skill abilities here. So like, let's pull out the wizard one here. This is the warrior, so let's look at the wizard. I believe this is the wizard. So you'd have his abilities here on his board, and when he takes a hit, or some other cards might do certain things, you'd be exhausted, and so you can't use that until you heal or do something that can make that unexhausted. So there's all kinds of different, the characters themselves are different in that they're dice and their camp abilities, but they're also these cards right here make it a lot different as well. So you're kind of making decisions on what abilities you use, when to use the abilities, what's the right time, and you're manipulating the creature deck. So there's quite a few decisions here. Again, this can play up to 4 players. But I mean, it really is kind of designed, in my opinion, to be played solo. I mean, you're just running 4 characters, and you're making decisions of what you're going against there. So as I said, I have what I have on my channel, on my playlist. If you're looking at sci-fi, then Warp's Edge, is a kind of a bag builder battle game, and this one is a dice rolling game. For a fantasy setting. So these are going to be the locations. Put those here. And the location is going to tell you, this is going to affect your campfire. Again, the fire determines how far you can look into the deck. The creature row, so to speak, or whatever it's called. This is how many creatures are going to be at that location. So you're going to end up having to fight 9 at this location. And then it also has an ability, that or effect that affects the characters. Exhausting an ability to increase this increases by additional. So it's got some special ability that's going to affect it there. And see, most of these affect the campfire, make it darker, and then it tells you how many creatures you have to fight at this location. So again, a lot of variety and variability. And of course, you might want to use the wizard's teleport ability to pick your next location, or figure out what look in the deck to get a different location. Because you might be facing something pretty dangerous upcoming there. So a lot of locations in here, and I think the next set, it has even more, but there's quite a few locations here, and you have to go through a certain, I have to read in the book, you have to go through a certain number of these before you get to the horde up there. So those are the locations, and they're going to be, these will sit off to the board. These are going to be setting up here. Then you get the creatures themselves that you're fighting. This is how much damage it's going to do to you. So if you don't kill it, then it's going to, and I believe it's like, if it's first in line, it's going to do this damage to you, and this is how much damage it has to that it can take. So you have to, again, roll your dice and put those together and try to figure out how much can you beat do that amount of damage, or you might have a special ability that might automatically eliminate a creature or certain types of creatures. And so this right here, it has the creatures have special abilities as well. Ongoing other creatures in line, so they call it the line, gain 2 health. So this is going to add to the health of all the other creatures, so you want to knock that guy out. So when this is defeated, you exhaust an ability. So this is going to kind of like a wraith, it's going to kind of suck some of your essence or skill and knock out your ability. So each of these creatures are different as well, and have different abilities. Summon card, you're going to put a certain number of these summon cards. This is kind of like taking from like Pandemic, where you're putting in the epidemic cards or whatever. This is a summon card, so that's going to, when you draw this up, you're going to pull cards from the kind of the horde deck. There's certain, these are like the basic, I guess these are the basic creatures. And those ones I was just going over, these right here, unhollowed. So the unhollowed creatures are, I believe the unhollowed creatures are the ones that kind of you set aside, And when you draw the summon, you're going to put one of these into the line to fight. And if you don't beat it, it's going to end up in the horde. I think you place a certain number of these in the horde to begin with, pre-populate it. So this is what you're going to fight at the end. So these are especially nasty, and so you definitely want to take these out, because if you get a big stack in the horde, good luck trying to beat that at the end of the game. And then I think you have the rest of these are the more standard creatures. Like you see a forest creature. I believe that's what the Beastmaster deals with. I think he can like tame forest creatures. He can like take them over to his side and have them fight for him, I believe, or take them out somehow. But again, I got to read up on the rules a little bit more. There's some dragons here. So all your good fantasy tropes are covered in here. So, as I said, this is a really good solitaire game. There's a lot of, decisions. Most solitaire games, get kind of puzzly. This definitely has kind of a puzzle feel to it, but it's not like a set solution, right? Because based on what characters you're using, what abilities they have, what creatures pop up in the deck, what locations pop up, and how you manipulate the line and the locations, and what abilities you use, and then rolling the dice adds a random factor, and then how you use your dice. And you basically use the dice for the combat value, but it can also just put a dice on an ability, and that's how you activate the ability or your skill or whatever it's called. And of course, there's also whoever's in camp can put dice on the camp and do stuff here as well. But so you're using your dice in different ways, and so it's really each time you play this, it's going to have a different, puzzle that you have to kind of figure out or work through. And so in that regards, it does have a, it's a really good solitaire experience in that regard, because the AI is the puzzle. What I was talking about here is having these increased dice and putting these dice out. Alien Frontiers is a sci-fi dice game that uses a lot of those abilities of rolling the dice and then putting them in certain areas and having to have increasing amounts or set amounts or plus amounts or whatever you have. That's the game I was thinking of earlier. So anyway, as part of my sci-fi fantasy Saturday, that is Set the Watch. Hope you enjoy this. If you're coming to this channel for the war games, this is a little bit of an extra treat, a little bit of Saturday, a Saturday fun for you there of something that's a little bit different. Again, a lot of combat here, but this is really kind of a solo dice gaming experience. If you guys have played this game or interested in this game, or like, hey, this isn't a war game, so I'm not interested in it, that's fine. Love to hear your comments. Love to see what you have to say about that. As I said, I have a lot of games, and actually have more Euro Ameritrash type games or standard board gaming hobby games than I do war games. But so every once in a while I like to kind of branch out into this and try to keep it somewhat consistent with the channel. But anyway, as always, thank you for spending some time with me. Thanks for watching.